My journeys along the Lairig Ghru, I've made a phone call and checked about the snow. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of snow, so I've decided to leave my snowshoes behind. I think the hardest bit about any journey is getting up and off the couch. So I have all my stuff packed. So get this stuff all in my bag and get off to the train station. So 2 hours later, and got off the couch. Right. Let's do this. First bit of the travel's done. Got off my little train up from Dundee to Aberdeen and got to wait an hour for a bus. So time for some hot chocolate before I hopefully get to the mountains. The next bit is to get the bus, which is about 2.5 hours to Braemar. So hopefully be on that in about half an hour, and gonna get to Braemar in the dark at about 9 o'clock at night, and then I've got to find somewhere on the edge of town to put my little tent up at the beginning of the walk and get ready to set off early in the morning up into the mountains. So I'm all ready here in Costa, ice axe at the ready, because you never know what's out there. On the bus to Braemar, so hopefully be there in about 2 hours and a quarter. I'm a little bit scared of arriving in the dark and not knowing where I'm going to sleep, but hopefully, hello. Hopefully I'll find somewhere just on the outside of town. The old lady just got off. She's really worried about me. She might contact the police because she's worried about the walk that I'm going to go on, but she's a little bit over concerned. She's also warned me that there's wolves in the hills, so I'm not quite sure what that says about her level of judgment. I didn't know there was wolves. I don't think there's any wolves. So it's about 20 minutes left. I'm still on the bus. And just thinking about when I get to Braemar, how easy is it going to be to find somewhere to sleep? One of the things that bothers me the most is just I always worry what people think, what someone's going to think if they see me walking off with my torch towards the hills, and like the lady who was there before, getting all worried about, have you prepared, have you told people, are you safe, do you know what you're doing? And I get that a lot, people judging me, making assumptions, and telling me I can't do what I want to do. Actually, if I'm just left alone, I trust my judgment. So I think in a way, that's what attracts me to the mountains, a few days on my own. With nobody around, trusting my own judgment, taking my time, not feeling as though anyone's looking over my shoulder, and just plodding through the hills. But sometimes when we feel as though someone's looking over our shoulder, it can actually make us make mistakes. I don't know whether it's being judged or feeling judged, but probably the worst thing is to feel judged. Because if we don't let ourselves feel judged, then nothing else really matters, and we can just get on, believe in ourselves and what we're doing, and just find more self-confidence and self-belief. Anyway, 15 more minutes, and then I should be there. Survived in Braemar. What now? Not sure. Find somewhere to sleep, get to the edge of town, find the path, and get some noodles. Okay, just bought some fresh batteries from the co-op. So, all good on the lighting front. Gonna have my torch. I'm not gonna have any of those crazy stags jumping into me in the night. This walk is actually quite a bit further than I thought. I've decided to try and walk to the beginning of the path, and from the town it's about 6 miles. I think it's about 9:30 now, so it's probably going to take me as long as that long bus journey to get to the beginning of the path. So I'm walking along this dark road, and it is a little bit scary, and looking up into the tree line I can see with my head torch eyes of some animals watching me, so I kind of know there's things out there. But it is actually full moon tonight. It is kind of light enough for me to see the mountains just about, and the trees are silhouettes. And the thing is, as I would much prefer to walk without my headlamp, because I know my eyes will adjust and I'll be able to see where I'm going. Unfortunately, that's what I did that night. I decided to give my lights to my friends who didn't have a torch, because I'm quite used to walking in the dark. But now I am kind of scared, and I'm just constantly scanning to see if I can see any reflections and if any pairs of eyes. But it's a total irrational fear. There's actually nothing to worry about. I think I've done about a mile and a half, and I've got 6 miles, so it's gonna take me over an hour and a half. So it could be like 11 o'clock at night when I find somewhere to sleep and get my noodles and get my Oreos and a cup of tea. So I'll carry on. Got a bit spooked because I could hear an owl give me a fright. So I finally got myself settled in my tent, got my food, just had some noodles. It was actually really quite difficult to find somewhere to put the tent. After worrying about where I might find some water, I ended up in a bit of a bog and wandering around about 12:30 at night. Really bumpy, so very hard to find anywhere flat. There's like these sort of huge mounds of soil everywhere and then lots of water in between them. But I found a little bit that's flat-ish, and yeah, got my tent up, got myself in some nice dry, warm clothes, my sleeping bag out, so I'm all ready to get in that. But it's been a good day so far. I think when I set off, I said sometimes the hardest thing about a journey like this is actually getting off a couch. And it actually was. There's so many reasons why I should have turned around, why this shouldn't have happened. Sometimes you just have to embark on a journey and just believe that you'll figure it out as you go along, because there's so many reasons and so many people and so many things that happen that give you a reason to stop. And I think often we're always looking for a reason why we shouldn't do the things that we're a little bit apprehensive of doing. And there'll be many steps along the way, I'm sure, where I feel like I can't go on. And when I'm going up in the hills, I know that's going to be really difficult. Also, people telling me not to do this was the old lady on the bus. She was really horrified about the fact I'm on my own and the walk, and she tried to throw every single reason why what I was doing was crazy and dangerous, irresponsible. I think judging someone by what you think of them and by what they're doing is actually really short-sighted. You really need to get to know a person by connecting and by talking with a person, and only then can you judge whether they should be doing what they are doing as to whether that's right or not. And she was actually so representative of so many voices that I've heard throughout my life. And the things she was saying and the excuses she was giving, they didn't add up. She's telling me there's wolves. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. Never heard of anyone in Scotland being hurt by a wolf. I don't believe there are any wolves in Scotland, but it's so easy to let these voices get into our head. Well, the only voice I need to listen to is my own voice, and I need to make sure that that's a positive voice. So, washing up, cake, brush my teeth, off to sleep, ready for an early start and get on that walk in the morning. It's morning now, it's actually 9 o'clock, so I slept really well, had a great night's sleep. Let's see where we are. Oh, I'm quite bleary-eyed, but that looks pretty cool. Here's my tent, and this is where we are. And this is what I was walking through last night, trying to find somewhere to put my tent. So as you can see, it's quite difficult to actually find a flat space. This was about the best I could find. Now I'm at the start of the path. Here begins the actual walk. I'm a little bit cold, but I'm sure I'll warm up really soon. Slight problem. Apparently the footbridge is washed away a mile or so ahead. It means I have to take an alternative route, which looks to me to be quite a long way around. So I'm going to change my route and not go on this way, but go along River Dee and go up through Glendy to the Lairig Ghru. Here goes. I've stopped for some breakfast. Got my little porridge pot, so looking forward to having that. Having a little bit of a rest, taking in the beautiful view, and it does look as though it's quite misty over there. It's probably going to be quite wet, so I think there's some rain on its way. So it's good to have stopped. In the sunshine, it's just absolutely beautiful. I'm making really good, slow progress, taking lots of photographs, just enjoying the walk. It's really flat so far, so just walking along the side, and then shortly we'll be going up into the mountains, so it's going to slow down even more while we're going to take all these photographs, but I love taking photos. It's so beautiful, the sunshine's lovely, it's around the middle of the day, the sun's not quite high at all, just about going over the edge of the mountains. So yeah, there's the sun. So onwards and upwards. Lots of layers coming off now. It's not that it's very steep at all, but the sun's out a little bit and yeah, getting quite warm. But really enjoying the walk. It's just amazing to just be strolling along, not a care in the world. Most of my focus is just in the moment, where I am, what I'm doing, watching out for my steps, and I think that's what I enjoy the most about going hiking like this. It's 100% about the journey, because it's a pointless journey. It gets me nowhere. All it is just every single moment along the way and enjoying those, good or bad, sunshine or rain, and I just think that's a wonderful thing. Just having my lunch, a couple of sandwiches. I've been so lucky. The weather is absolutely beautiful. There's blue sky, some crazy clouds, and the sun has just been skipping along the top of the mountains all day. Since when I very first saw the sun to where the sun is now, it's just straight on my face, but just right over the edge of the mountain, and I don't think it's going to get any higher than that at all today. And I've not seen a single soul. There's no footprints of anybody else on this walk. I've not passed anybody. It's just been really, really wonderful experience. Just some beautiful countryside and some time on my own. So I've made it as far as Bothy. I had thought I was going to be in my tent tonight. I've never slept in a Bothy before, and someone had left a bit of wood and some candles, managed to get a fire going. This is actually quite a pleasant surprise. A really nice place to spend the night. All things are relative, right? And the weather did change. Got quite snowy. Had to walk across some big snow patches, and they were quite difficult because suddenly your feet disappear into nothingness. And then also, as it was getting dark, I lost the path a few times, so it's actually a bit scary because I was so exhausted. I've not walked like this since 6 months before my accident. Got to the point where I really felt like giving up and putting my tent up and stopping. I don't think a walk's a good walk unless you get to a point where you really feel like you can't go on. I certainly haven't heard any wolves, like the old lady on the bus was telling me. There are no wolves. She was clearly trying to scare me off from doing this. And it's funny, when people do try and scare you off doing things, and you try and reassure them you do know what you're doing, then they start making things up. Ludicrous reasons as to why you shouldn't. I always try to stay the course. It's important to listen to what people say around you, but Really, you have to follow your own heart and believe in yourself. I can't believe what happened to my neck a year ago. It's crazy. Still feel vulnerable. I'm scared that all the pairs might break. But it's incredible how quickly you get over things and move on. And I think the way to do that is to focus on the moment. That's what I love about being out in the hills, in the mountains, in the forests, in the desert. You focus on every step, thinking where my feet are going to go. And I just think that's such a wonderful thing. It just brings such a sense of awareness and the present. I think also walking on my own, I know people worry about me a lot, and I think that's what concerned the lady on the bus a lot. If something serious happened to me, then there was no one to raise the alarm, so I would die. But kind of like knowing that makes me take so much more care. So I think in some aspects being on my own is actually a lot safer. So cool to have a fire. And somebody left a tin of beans. When I was walking, I was dreaming of beans. I'm thinking when I get back, I'm going to have some beans. And here, there's a tin of beans. So I think I'll leave some of my food for other people. And I'm going to have those beans. And I'm going to have them for my breakfast. Just about to turn out of this glen that I've spent most of the last 2 days in, and stayed at the Bothy partway along. The first half day I was here, it was really wonderfully sunny. This morning, well, last night, I was sleeping, it was really, really windy, so I'm kind of glad I wasn't in my tent and that I was nice and snug in the Bothy. And I got up reasonably early, had that can of beans, which meant I have to carry the can, but never mind, that's in my backpack. And I've been trudging along slowly along the bottom of the glen, and now I'm just working my way up there, and I'll go over the pass at the top, and that is Lairig Ghru, and then it's probably about 8 miles down from there into Aviemore, so still quite a long way to go, and I'm sure it'll be dark when I finish, or maybe I put my tent up somewhere, stay the night on the edge of town, and then head off for the train station the following day. Okay, it's been really, really windy, and I'm very, very lucky that the wind is actually on my back, which is kind of a good thing. So yeah, onwards and upwards. Wow, so I think this must be, I hope, the highest point. But you never know. There's always another hill, just even when you think you're finished. But it looks as though this might be, but oh my gosh. There's every chance that I'm mistaken. It might still go up a bit more. Actually, now the mist has cleared, it might still be a bit higher. I found that bit really quite a struggle. The wind is really strong and it's been blowing me all over the place, almost blown me over a few times. It's made it really difficult to walk. And going over the ice patches has been really difficult too, because it just keeps on giving way under my weight. So I keep falling down, sometimes 2 feet. And in one of them, what's actually quite scary is you don't know what's underneath them, and some of them there are rivers running underneath. And one of them I fell through to the creek, and I got one boot full of icy cold water, and it was quite scary because I kind of fell on my face, and I was really worried that the whole lot was going to give way and I was going to fall all the way through. But I just quickly got myself into a roll, and as quickly as I could I just rolled and rolled and rolled over to get myself to the other side. Okay, this is getting a bit crazy windy now. I'm going to carry on. Wow, so I'm finally down and out past over the pass at the top that is Lairig Ghru. I actually found it really difficult and quite treacherous as well. There's a lot of snow and I kept falling through the snow. I fell over quite a few times, which was kind of scary because obviously very wary of spraining my ankle or hurting my leg or my pole snapping and falling on a snapped pole would actually be quite painful. As much as I love being in the moment, I was quite wishing those moments were over. Yeah, what I thought was the top wasn't the top, and then there was a few more false peaks. It was actually really hard going. I was really exhausted, and then it started to rain a lot and I started to get quite wet. But luckily most of my waterproofs have kept me dry, which is cool. There's only like an hour or so of daylight left, so what I've really got to try and do is get to the edge of the woods by nightfall and then make a decision. Am I going to carry on to try and get to the train station? Maybe, I don't know what time the last train is, but can I get a train at 9 o'clock or something like that? Or am I going to sleep on the edge of town and then push on in the morning? So here goes. Made my goal, which is to get to this edge of this little woodland here. I think there's probably about half an hour of daylight left, so now it's just a question of whether I've got the energy to walk the last six miles and try and catch a train later on tonight. I hope so, because I could really do with chips and curry sauce. That's what's on my mind now. So on we go. Just got to a junction here, and I think there's about 4.5 miles to go, and I've heard, got in touch with my sister, managed to get a cell phone signal, and there's a train at 9, so now it's carry on, big last rush to get to the train station for 9 o'clock, but hopefully it should be fine. It's all should be a lot easier from here. Also had to stop, do a bit of first aid. One of my toenails kind of fell off. I guess that's just what happens for a few days hiking. Yeah, so got a race on. I just have not stopped. That was the first time, I think the only time I've sat down today is when I've fallen down. And haven't stopped for lunch. But yeah, just wish I had longer, but it's nearly the end of my trip. Wow, so what a crazy journey that was. I've now just got off the train from Aviemore and I'm at Perth. And I'm waiting for my connection through to Dundee, so to get back to my family. Yeah, so I'm staying with my sister in Dundee. And on the train from Aviemore, I had a really nice text chat with Gary from Lochaler. He runs the B&B where I was staying when I had my accident. And we were just chatting about, hopefully I'll be going back to see them soon. I'm really looking forward to doing that. And this has just been quite a journey, just coming back, being in Scotland, being back out in the mountains, being in the dark, wandering around where deer roam around, and being on my own and being confident enough to do that and to go on the journey that I've just been on. It was really fun. It was really tough, so much tougher than I expected. No matter how great the physical challenge, the mental challenge is always greater, and I'm always up for that, because one thing I've learned in life is to never ever give up, and to never try and find excuses as to why you can't go forwards, because the only way is always forwards.
Train at platform 1 is the 2121 service to Glasgow Queen Street, calling at Stirling and Glasgow Queen Street.
That's not me. I got half an hour yet, but I could do with a hot chocolate. Bye.